Right, so we've talked around the limitations. Chris, you're on the coal face with customers in the Welsh public sector. What are the key myths around legacy antivirus that you're encountering when you're speaking to customers?
Yeah, thanks, Joe. I mean, I think I'll probably break this down into four kind of key areas. The first one is that really legacy AV is good enough, that it's protected me before, it'll protect me today. I think in reality, that's just not the case. I think there's a stat that's recently come out from CrowdStrike that 82% of modern day malware attacks are not picked up by legacy AV. So that's the first one. I think from a second point of view, it's that actually it's okay to miss updates. It's okay to postpone updates. I will give public sector some credit here that probably my view is, these myths over a period of time. I think in the last 12 months, I've seen a real material difference in the way that organizations are approaching vulnerability patching and software updates. I think about in my own real world life. So perhaps 2 years ago, I've got an Android phone, it flashes up software update. I won't do it right now. I'll park it, I'll do it. But we all kind of know now, we know a bit different. Perhaps that software update, it's a known vulnerability. And actually that software update is probably going to patch it. And you pretty much do it fairly quickly now, don't you? Push the button. And that's exactly the same in the world of antivirus. I think the third one for me is that ultimately that compliance is resilience. And actually that's not quite the case. And there has been examples in the past where I think antivirus is seen as a bit of a tick box exercise. We're fine, we got it, we're compliant, we're covered. It actually forms one very important part of a complete security stack to protect an organization. And I think the fourth one that I've come across quite a lot is that ultimately upgrading AV is costly and or time consuming. Now let's not hide away from the fact, right? There is clearly, more often than not, there may be a cost and you are going to need to arrange downtime. But I think if you talk to any of the organizations in Wales that have been affected by cybersecurity attacks over the last 5 years, and there has been examples, I think the cost, the time and the effort that they've had to put into getting themselves resilient again, the potential reputational damage that they faced because of it far outweighs any cost and time being that you should put into antivirus upgrades.
Brilliant, thank you. And with that, obviously, we all know there's a lot of cyber attacks happening at the moment. It's all in the news. I think everybody's aware of the threat that's out there and that it's evolving, as we've talked about already. Why do you think these misconceptions persist, Kev, Steve?
I think, picking up on what Chris was saying around public sector, there's limitations on budget, but also I think driven from that compliance angle that people say, well, I've invested in a layer of protection that actually reduces my risk, so I'm okay. The reality is when you start thinking about post-attack, I mean, I worked on the UK's largest public sector attack as a defender, and a lot of the learning from that was actually the tools that we were using were not effective. They hadn't been updated, they were using legacy technology. But more importantly, we didn't have the forensic capability to gather the intent about what the malicious actor was actually doing. So for me, there's a lot of learnings to be picked up from this. And it's making sure that common misconception and myth of I've got it, I've bought it, it will be fine, I'm not going to be able to refresh it for another 3 or 4 years. If we knew a threat was coming to our shores, we wouldn't wait 3 or 4 years to respond to it. Absolutely. We have to respond in the moment. And there's this myth about the common static misconception about the threat is static. The threat is dynamic. And so your approach to AV, how you configure it and how you deploy it and how you tune and optimize it going forward needs to change.
Chris, so you just spoke around Welsh public sector. Steve, I think it'd be really good to get your view on the UK as a whole.
Sure. So, I mean, the myths that you described there, I mean, they're relevant across all sectors, not just the public sector, but also across, many areas within enterprise as well. I think if we look at some of the difference we're seeing in how attackers are going after a different sort of angle with causing disruption. In the past, it was always felt, they'd in effect shut company systems down, hold them to ransom, pay that finance, pay that, Bitcoin fee, and get their systems back up and running. Now there's also angles around causing financial pain to these organisations through stopping them being able to trade, stopping them being able to meet their obligations if they're a public sector organisation, and that is driving a financial penalty. So actually the ransomware is now, we need to fix this quickly so that we are not paying out penalties elsewhere through lost business, contractual obligations and so forth, rather than the actual money back to the attackers. So it's a slightly different angle that we're seeing applied. Maybe it's a different way of extracting money.